By special request, a thrift store Bible. Hello everyone. A friend of this channel, Joe St. Egg Benedictus, recently commented on his channel that there seem to be fewer and fewer thrift store Bible reviews or videos showing up on YouTube. And in answer to that calling out, I am bringing today a thrift store Bible review. So as a answer to Joe St. Egg Benedictus, and also as a tip of the hat to Thrift Store Bibles, lately known as Miserable Offender, who had a send-off on his channel recently. So here we're looking at a Bible I picked up at a local Mennonite thrift, one of my favorite places. This is the Harper Study Bible, not to be confused with the later, I think it is Harper Collins Study Bible, which is a different animal altogether. This, I believe I brought home for $2. It had its intact dust jacket. You can see here that it does have a sewn binding. It's a prerequisite for me. It is a hardbound, no ribbons included. It has this kind of light blue coloration on the edging. Very nice. It's a imprint of Harper and Row, which preceded Harper Collins, I believe. And notes are by Dr. Howard Lindsell, or Lindsell. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. But from what I can see, it is a relatively conservative and evangelical friendly work in terms of the notations. And there's a short forward. In addition to the preface to the RSV, there's a short forward here that says the notes were written from the standpoint of conservative theological scholarship. 1964 is the date here from Dr. Lindsell. A few things I really like about this book. In addition to the sewn binding, I like a hardcover Bible. It's like cloth overboard, very classic looking spine there. Gold, Harper Study Bible, Revised Standard Version. Have this kind of vinyl paste down in here. Really nice quality. Some personal info there from the previous owner, I apologize for. The paper is very nice. It's a very bright white paper, and the print is clear and large enough to not be problematic for me. It is in a single column layout, as you see in a lot of these RSVs, which is fantastic. Have the references on the side over here. Might have been better to have them here because you do sometimes get a problem with text going down into the gutter and difficult to read. That can be challenging. Look how beautiful the Psalms lie on the page, all that open space. Same with Isaiah. Really delightful and easy to read. Lightly annotated, I would say. See notes at the bottom. So for a study Bible, it's minimalist in its notes, which I actually appreciate. Back to the kind of physical aspects of the book. If you noticed when I took off the dust cover, the dust cover is not just to protect its cover from dust, but it's really kind of cool. This big fold-out, advertisement for the book itself, which is odd because presumably you would have already purchased the book before you opened and realized this was here. But it's selling this product to Bible students, I guess Bible Sunday school teachers, a reference, people looking for a reference Bible. If you're a teacher, if you're a layman for home study, for devotions, it gives these little pointers about various selling points of the Bible: wide margins, topical outlines, self-pronouncing texts. I could do without RSV footnotes. So it has the footnotes that go with the Revised Standard Version translation, in addition to Dr. Lindsell's footnotes. What do we have over here? Very white Indo text paper, very white. My nickname in high school. Large, easy to read type, marginal references, and extensive annotations. Extensive here is a word they use that I wouldn't choose to use. How to use the Harper Study Bible. So just pretty cool. They have this kind of a how-to guide, a quick start guide, as it were, to the Harper Study Bible. In terms of the annotations, just a couple of places I was reading recently in morning and evening prayer that I'll just use as examples from the New Testament, Matthew 24. Maybe an example of a couple of kind of controversial things where Dr. Lindsell could have taken a more partisan approach, maybe, on one side or the other of an argument, because the reading in Matthew 24 into 25 has some of the thornier issues among Christians and between Christians and unbelievers. We have the statement of Christ. We have these kind of, Matthew 23 into 24, not 24 into 25, but 23 into 24. So Christ talking about signs of the end of the age. And he mentions here in 23:35, 23:32 we'll start. Fill up then the measure of your fathers, you serpents, you brood of vipers. How are you to escape being sentenced to hell? Therefore, I send you prophets and wise men and scribes, some of whom you will kill and crucify, and some you will scourge in your synagogues and persecute from town to town, that upon you may come all the righteous blood shed on earth, from the blood of innocent Abel to the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the sanctuary and the altar. Truly I say to you, all this will come upon this generation. So a couple of thorny issues there right at the end. First of all, Zechariah, this is one of those verses that I think maybe unbelievers or those who would want to poke holes in the inerrancy of Scripture would point to and say, was Jesus misspeaking here and incorrect, or was Matthew recording it incorrectly? Either way, that seems to be a problem for biblical inerrancy, because as the footnote says here, Zechariah is the Old Testament prophet whose book bears his name. 2 Chronicles 24 relates the murder of a Zechariah, son of Jehoiada, the priest. It may be that this Zechariah is meant, since the second book of Chronicles is last in the Hebrew Bible. The saying, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah in Luke 11:51, could mean from the first to the last murder in the Bible. So it doesn't really take a stand on that, saying perhaps this is who was meant, but doesn't really address the inherent issue of what appears to be an inconsistency or a misidentification in the book of Matthew. And then, furthermore, we have, I guess, into 24:14, Christ is giving some signs to look for the end of the age, talking about the end of the age and the coming of the Son of Man. And there's a note here, 24:14. Prior to the end of the age, the gospel must be preached to all nations for a witness. Since the end has not come, we know that this obligation has not yet been completely fulfilled. And then 24:34, referencing this verse that says, truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away till these things take place. The note here says, a generation in the Old Testament was usually reckoned as 40 years. The problem here is whether Jesus was referring to the generation of men who were alive at that time, or to the generation of men who would be alive at the time of the second advent. In the former case, it would mean that he prophesied his second advent as taking place within no more than 40 years after his death and resurrection. Only in the sense that the destruction of Jerusalem took place in AD 70 was it true that any of Christ's contemporaries lived to see the fulfillment of these things. In the latter case, the generation would refer to those living at the time of the earliest of the signs concerning the end. They will live to see the fulfillment of them all. So again, here not taking sides, and one of the things that Christian denominations love to fight about, and that is eschatology in the end times and prophecy, etc. So just a little flavor for the footnotes there. Not striking a partisan pose. RSV, I love the RSV. I've said probably about 5 different translations that such and such is my favorite translation. I've probably said that about the King James, the ESV, maybe even the Jerusalem Bible at some point, and the RSV. But if I had to live the rest of my life with one translation, just one Bible, I would be pretty comfortable with the RSV. Isaiah 7:14 aside, it's a beautiful translation. Love it. And this is a pretty cool copy of it. I'm glad I found this for $2 at the local thrift in beautiful shape. No writing other than the name at the beginning. Some nice Mennonite family that owned this book. Didn't go to the end, but there's a pretty comprehensive concordance, very long one at the end. Some neat, pretty cool maps. I like the coloring on these maps. The light is not doing it any favors, I'm sure, but nice maps at the end. And there you go. So back to my roots to a certain extent. For Miserable Offender and for Joe St. Egg Benedictus, there you are, a thrift store Bible review, the Harper Study Bible in the Revised Standard Version. Notes by Dr. Lindsell. Thanks for watching today. Hope to see you here again next time.